so this is the iPhone 15 Plus. It's Apple's newest entry-level iPhone this year, and I just gotta say this now. This is probably the iPhone that most people should buy, especially if you're looking into the new 15 series. Let me tell you why. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about its design. Now, this design actually hasn't really changed all that much since the iPhone 12. We have the flat aluminum sides that, we're all used to, but the edges are now more rounded off, which feels a lot nicer in hand. Now, this is the first time I'm actually using a non-Pro Plus model, and I'll admit it, this phone feels really light, but feels big at the same time. Now, coming from the 15 Pro Max, this phone feels so refreshing. The lighter chassis is much more noticeable, and it's much more enjoyable to use. Now, unlike previous iPhones, the iPhone 15 now features this satin matte finish. I don't know if you guys could hear that, on the back of the phone, with the cameras being the only glossy part of the back. Now, what this means is that fingerprints won't really show up as much, but that also means that the colors of the phone are a little bit less saturated. They're more pastel-like. So this blue colored iPhone in certain lighting might look white, and sometimes a hint of sky blue or baby blue. Now, the 15 series also comes in a few more pastel-like colors, such as pink, which I think is the second best color, blue, green, and black. But I think this blue color, especially when the light hits the phone just right, looks incredible. Okay, so one of the biggest changes here on the iPhone 15 series, the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus, is the addition of Dynamic Island. Now, Dynamic Island, if you guys didn't know, was an exclusive 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max feature from last year, but it's now here on the base 15 and 15 Plus. And to make a long story short, this new Dynamic Island is a new software feature that lets you interact with other parts of the OS. So let's say you've got Spotify or Apple Music playing in the background, you'll be able to see what's playing, and when you tap and hold on that Dynamic Island, the media controls will pop up and you can scrub through your song or pause your music. And the same goes if you've got an Uber ride to catch. It'll show you the driver's ETA, and then it'll also show you your ETA when you'll be dropped off. It's a pretty useful feature that I think you'll all really enjoy, especially if you've never seen or tried Dynamic Island. Besides that, we finally have USB-C across Apple's new iPhone lineup. This means unified charging across most modern devices, not just Apple. So, if your friend's got an Android phone, or if you're on a Mac, or maybe you have a Nintendo Switch lying around, you can use the same cable to charge those devices to charge your new iPhone 15. Now, most consumers won't really care much about USB speeds or transfer speeds, but this new USB-C port on the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus is a lot slower than what's on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. The USB-C port here on the iPhone 15 series is USB 2.0, which means it's capped at 480 megabits per second versus the 10 gigabits per second on the Pro lineup. In reality, this shouldn't really impact you in your day-to-day, since this is the same transfer speeds as the Lightning port on previous iPhones. And last but not least, we have much better displays on the non-Pro models. Now, since I have the Plus variant, it's still the same 6.7-inch display like last year, but it now features the same beautiful OLED display that has a peak brightness of 2000 nits as the Pro iPhones from this year. Now, what you don't get on the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus is, of course, ProMotion 120Hz refresh rate and always on display. And that means the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus are still at 60 Hz, but a part of me has me thinking, if these new phones have very similar displays as this year's Pro line, does that mean that, these displays could potentially run at 120 Hz but just software locked? I don't know, but for me, and most likely for everyday consumers and not the tech nerds who care about having the best of the best specs for an $800 iPhone, 60 Hz is totally fine. Now, I'm not saying Apple should keep putting 60 Hz panels on their, base model iPhones, but I think most people are not going to care whether their iPhones are running at 60 Hz, 90 Hz, or even 120 Hz. But it would be nice to have something faster than 60 Hz, especially in 2023 and onwards. Now let's talk about performance and battery. So as someone who used the 14 Pro Max and now onto the 15 Pro Max as my daily, the iPhone 15 Plus is actually rated to have less battery than the Pro Max, but after a couple of weeks using this phone, it surprisingly lasts a lot longer than my current 15 Pro Max. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but at the end of my day at around 11 p.m., I'd still have about 40 to 45% battery left. Maybe that's because I'm not shooting a ton of photos constantly on this phone, and I'm not really playing games left and right. And basically I'm just doing, basic social media stuff and watching videos. But over the last couple of weeks though, I'm really impressed with its battery life. Now let's talk about performance. Now obviously the A16 Bionic that's inside this iPhone 15 Plus is the same one from the 14 Pro Max from last year. It's basically the same chip, so my experience felt pretty much the same as, last year's iPhone. These in-house chips that Apple's been producing the last few years are just really, really powerful. And the thermals, at least from my experience on the 15 Plus, have been nothing but great. So gaming or photo editing isn't going to be an issue, and it's not going to bog down and throttle if you're doing some, heavy intensive tasks. Okay, so let's talk cameras real quick. Now, just as a quick refresher, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus feature the same camera system, so whether you go with the smaller one or the Plus model, you're gonna have similar results. But new this year is the 48 megapixel camera, and no, it's not the same camera as the one on the 14 Pro series or the 15 Pro series. This is a smaller sensor, but with a slightly lower aperture at f1.6 versus the f1.76 on the Pro series. And the ultra-wide is pretty much unchanged from last year. So this new 48 megapixel sensor on the iPhone 15 Plus is awesome. Basically, with a higher megapixel count now on the iPhone, you'll now be able to get that 2x zoom shot without losing full quality. So when you snap a 2x zoom photo, the iPhone's basically cropping in on that 48 megapixel sensor and then using that middle sensor to output a cropped 2x 12 megapixel shot, which is something you weren't able to do before on the base model iPhones. Besides that, at 1x, you now have the option to output your photos in 24 megapixels or 48 megapixels if you really want the added details in your shot. And when you have a person or a cat or a dog in the frame, it'll automatically capture portrait data so that if you want to turn that shot into a portrait mode later, you can always edit that photo after the fact and add those portrait effects. Now, this is a feature that even the 14 Pro from last year doesn't have, so these are all really great features to have on the base iPhone 15. Now, the new Smart HDR5 also makes a pretty big difference here with better processing, especially in weirdly lit environments. And the overall processing, in my opinion, looks to be slightly better than, what I was able to capture on the 14 Pro series from last year. And as for videos, not much has changed here on the 15 series. It's basically what we had on the 14 with, cinematic mode and action mode. But everything else is pretty much the standard iPhone videos with, all the focal lengths being able to shoot in 4K 60. I think iPhone videos, hands down, have the best quality in any smartphone at the moment. Now, as for its price, the iPhone 15 starts at $799, while the Plus model starts at $899. Now, if you're planning on upgrading for the first time in years, I would highly encourage you guys to pick up the 256 gig model, just because I think 128 gigs is just not enough, especially if you plan on keeping this phone for the next 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, I'd probably pay a couple of bucks a month on some iCloud storage, just so you don't have to delete photos or videos off your camera roll and have a backup of your photos and videos on the cloud. But yeah, that's the iPhone 15 Plus in a nutshell. I think it's the iPhone that most people should buy, and if you're not necessarily doing a lot of photo or video work on your iPhone, this base 15 series, whether it's the smaller one or the Plus model, this upgrade is worth it. Now, I know Tim Cook always says this every year a new iPhone comes out, that it's the best iPhone that they've ever created.
These are the best iPhones we've ever created. The best iPhones we've ever created. These are the best and most capable iPhones we've ever made.
And you know what? They're not lying. If you have an iPhone 12 or even an iPhone 11 or the 13, I think it's a pretty significant upgrade, and I don't think that you'll be disappointed. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and if you haven't checked out my experience with the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'll make sure to leave that linked in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.